The 2026 Subaru Crosstrek looks unchanged because it mostly is. It's mostly the same vehicle, but this is the hybrid. They brought back the hybrid, non-plug-in hybrid for 2026, and it has the Toyota system in it, but it has the all-wheel drive system with an actual drive shaft that goes to the rear wheel. So it has a more advanced, more robust all-wheel drive system than Toyota. But you get a lot more efficiency and a good driving experience, which we'll show you later. So yeah, basically the same vehicle. This is one that is in the Citron yellow pearl coat exterior color, which definitely gets attention. Looking pretty nice. It has the black wheels and that contrast of black and that kind of green yellow color looks pretty good. You can fold the seats down, and this is the cargo area if you don't. It's still pretty substantial, especially considering it's a hatchback. It's very easy to put some stuff in here, groceries or boxes or whatever. There's a little cubby here on the right side, and then here on the left, there's a little tiny light that's manually turned on, which is pretty much a waste of time. So cargo light's terrible. Now the seats do fold down and just add to your cargo space, but there's no subfloor storage at all. There's no space under here for a spare tire. It has a tire inflator kit, so the hybrid battery and stuff is located here. The tire inflator kit, little pump is right here, and then it has a separate, it's like an inline sealer in this container here. So yeah, no spare tire. There is a tow hook. And these are usually reverse thread. But yeah, this is the subfloor. So under the cargo area is basically no extra space under here. The back seat area is pretty decent amount of room here. It does have this center armrest that folds down, car seat attachments in all three seats basically. And then you have a USB-C and USB-A. So yeah, decent legroom back here. This one does have the sunroof. And here in the front, looking pretty good. It's mostly black. It does have the little stitching popping out there, contrast stitching. And it has like this kind of yellow gold accent on the seats. And there's also this simulated carbon fiber accents here as well on the Sport. So it looks a little bit different under the hood. It has the hybrid units and systems above the engine. So it's a regular boxer engine. It's a 2.5 liter four-cylinder boxer engine with the transmission back here in line with the drive shaft. And that's where the hybrid motor and stuff is in there, and it's integrated into the transmission. Now, it puts out combined 194 horsepower. You notice things like this, like the AC compressor is here powered electrically instead of in line with the belt of the engine. Things like that has to be relocated and designed differently for the hybrid system. And you can see these orange lines are high voltage lines. There's also high voltage components there on top of the engine as well. But it's fundamentally a boxer four-cylinder engine below all that stuff. You can see the regular 12-volt battery is here. It does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto wireless, but as you can see, I have the Android Auto popped up here with the navigation set to a destination, but it doesn't translate to the screen. So it doesn't show the turn-by-turn directions here on this screen. It looks like it just maintains the regular TomTom system from the default system on this screen, even when you have the Android Auto activated here. So a little bit of a disconnect there. I only tested it with Android Auto. I'm assuming that it'll do the same exact thing with Apple CarPlay. The interior is basically the same except for this full digital gauge cluster here, and it has different views, navigation, and then this more minimal view with the cruise control information there in the center with a vehicle simulated, and then the regular dial view, which gives you a lot of information here on the dial view with the hybrid system there, speedometer, and then it has basically everything except for the map here on this screen. Now it has this little EV mode button down here, so you can force the vehicle to just drive to a very short distance in EV mode if the battery has sufficient charge. But this is good for, the only time I'd really use that is that, let's say I'm backing into a garage and I need to take some time or whatever, and I want to cut back on my carbon monoxide intake, so I can back into the garage in EV mode, and that way the exhaust isn't filling the garage as I'm backing up with carbon monoxide. So that's a useful feature to have in certain scenarios, I suppose, to force it into EV mode at certain times. The wireless charger isn't completely refined well. When I put my phone there, it will sometimes charge and sometimes not, depending because of my case. And I have to take my case off, then the phone slides around on it and doesn't charge either way. But you notice that the little status indicator there is on the right side, and it usually does look like it's going to charge until I start driving. But you notice from the driver's perspective, you can't see that light. So I have to lean my head way over here to the passenger side to look at that light to see, as I'm driving, to see if it's still charging. Because what happens is I put my phone there to charge, I get to my destination, it could be an hour drive, and then the whole time the phone wasn't charging, and now I had low battery level and I needed to charge it. So I don't rely on this charger. I would have to just plug in, that way I have a reliable charge. So it's not as good as, say, the new Outback. The redesigned Outback has a better charging system than this and seems to work well. This one, still not fully refined. Similar type of situation with the Forester that I experienced. Even on this lower trim, it does have the full screen here, and it's basically the same touchscreen that they've had for a while. It's not the new one that you'll see in the Outback, but it has the physical volume knobs, the buttons for the temperatures all physical, and then the rest is divided up in here. You have this little marquee type thing at the top, which you can cycle through. Clock, outside temperature, and status of your phone is there at the top as well. The center part is where the different options are. Sort of like your cell phone, you have different tiles there, in which you can choose the media, radio, map, and all that. The radio doesn't sound all that great. Now you have these little buttons down here, phone settings, the brake hold here, vehicle settings here, user settings, and then your climate control is down here, and you just hit that to expand it, and you have all of the settings there for the climate control. They brought back the hybrid in the Subaru Crosstrek in the 2026 model, and it is different than the previous designs they had. This is the series parallel hybrid system. Basically it is a Toyota hybrid system. And so they do have that technology within the vehicle, but they make a little bit of a change by adding having the ability to have the regular drive shaft that goes to the rear wheels instead of having a separate motor. It has a more durable and robust all-wheel drive system using that feature. So technically better than the all-wheel drive systems you'd find in a Toyota. Now, it has a really good acceleration. I like when CVT, this is an e-CVT, so it doesn't have like the belt or anything like that. It's an electronically controlled a CVT. So it has a planetary gear set in which it has the engine on one side and to simplify it, electric motor on the other, and it can vary the pressure on the electric motor in conjunction with the gas engine, and give you varying speed ratios using that system. So it's really nice to have a CVT. It doesn't try to have fake shifts, and just gives you the real CVT experience. So when you accelerate, it holds an RPM, and then the vehicle accelerates. So there's no wonky shifting or anything like that, no jerking or anything to pretend like it's shifting gears. It just gives you a confident, steady delivery of power as you accelerate. And I really appreciate that, because some of the fake shifts are really, they just take away from the driving experience, and it also diminishes the efficiency that the CVT is supposed to have by delivering, fake shifts where they don't need to be there, So it has this full digital display, And so it has different views, 3 different views. One of them is the navigation map, and it has the TomTom system right now in the 2026 model. And it looks pretty good. I like the regular dial view, but if you want the more simplified view, you can have that as well. And the overall, the suspension, the steering, all that work is comfortable. You know, the seat's adequate. It's pretty good. Sound system isn't all that great. Not really impressed with that. But just the overall driving experience, just the quality of the materials and everything. It's the same Crosstrek basically as previous year models, but they included they have the different gauge cluster here, and then they have the hybrid system. That's not the plug-in hybrid. It's just a regular hybrid like you'd find in, you know, Toyotas and a lot of other vehicles that are non-plug-in hybrid systems. So the engine will turn on and off, and, you know, give you have good efficiency and everything as well. So I've been getting, in the past 220 miles, I've been getting 32.7 miles per gallon average. Now it's a little bit colder out, you know, that makes a little bit of a difference. The you know, the ambient temperature, and I don't really drive. I, you know, accelerate hard on camera a couple of times just so you can hear what it sounds like. I don't really drive really that fast, and I'm on relatively flat roads. I'm not going up and down mountains, so, you know, it's supposed to be a little bit higher than that. 32 is, I think it's mostly because of the weather, the cold temperatures, and, you know, the only thing I can think of. But yeah, it's, you know, I just drive with cruise control on and fairly flat roads, so it should be pretty good, but it's less than what the window sticker says. But it is kind of zippy, and it has, you know, the acceleration is satisfying. You know, zippy, it's good for traffic and acceleration, and parking, has a good turning radius, feels good overall. I do enjoy driving it, and the passengers hadn't had any complaints with the passengers yet, so all that's good. But yeah, I would say a couple things to consider is that the radio in this particular trim isn't all that great. And that's kind of a big deal to me. I really, if I'm going to buy a brand new vehicle, I really want a good radio, a good sound system in the vehicle. But overall, it's the hatchback, the seats being able to fold down. The overall style is obviously Subaru, and you can tell from a distance. That's the way Subaru goes with their styling. And whether you like it, you know, a lot of people like it, some people don't. But I think it's fine. This was a little bit of a attention-grabbing color, which is kind of neat. Yeah, you have that precise control of the pedal, which I do like. There's no, with shifting, it's like it shifts. With the fake shiftings anyways, it's random. It feels random. Like the new Outback is like that, where it just has like this random jerkiness to the transmission, trying to pretend like it's shifting when it's not really shifting, and it's just kind of random. So you don't have that precise control over the pedal, you know, because you don't know when it's going to shift. So it just kind of randomly does it. So then all of a sudden the car's kind of rocking, and, you know, it just doesn't really feel confident and precise. This vehicle has that precise delivery. The pedal, you have the solid control over that acceleration, and you can feel the difference with just a slight movement of the pedal. So yeah, I prefer that. The cruise control system with the lane keep assist, it's actually pretty good on this one. And I haven't had too much of a problem with false alerts. It will kind of flash at you and stuff if you. Now right now you can see I got my hands on the steering wheel, but It has a torque sensor, so unless I'm actually turning the steering wheel, it doesn't know I'm holding my hands on the steering wheel, so it's going to give me frost alerts in that way. But it usually hasn't been a problem on this one. So the torque sensor works okay. It's not ideal, it's not perfect, but it does give me some false alerts occasionally. It does kind of flash, and it's a little bit aggressive when you get too close to the line. It starts, kind of flipping out, and it becomes a distraction in itself, But that's just the way a lot of vehicles are now. It's like, it's like air horns and strobe lights in your face while you're trying to drive to alert you for what, to something that you're trying to pay attention to. And it's like, it just serves as a distraction, usually, because if you're swerving because you're in the middle, there's some kind of situation going on, and you have to swerve real fast. You don't have time for turn signals or anything like that. You got to swerve to avoid hitting an obstacle in the road or whatever. A car all of a sudden pulls out in front of you, and then you have to go over the line. Then all of a sudden you get flashed at and all these beeping and stuff, which is distracting you from the in the moment situation that you're trying to deal with. So yeah, I'm not really a fan of the overly aggressive alert systems that they're putting in vehicles now. And it's not just Subaru, it's like all vehicles, seems like. But yeah, I usually, this one is most of the time fine, the lane keep assist system. So I just tend to leave it on, I suppose. There's a couple times in which I turn it off. There's some vehicles that there's such a problematic, unrefined system that I can't complete a single drive without turning it off. This one I can, for the most part, leave it on, and it's not too much of a problem. And it holds the lane well. It does kind of fight with you a little bit sometimes, but it tends to stay in the middle of the lane and doesn't wander as much as some other vehicles. And to me, that's a big deal, because it's something you're interacting with constantly while you're driving. And if the lane keep assist system is fighting with you or whatever, it's just taken away from the driving experience. It becomes an annoyance instead of a helper, So there's something on the road there. Let me swerve around it. Yep. So now it's giving me a little alert there with flashing lights and then a beep. Which that beep isn't as loud and as obnoxious as some vehicles, but still it's flashing the screen and beeping at me and stuff. Microwave beeps. That's what everybody wants in their vehicles. I'm sure that they put out surveys and did focus groups, and they're like, you know what? We need some more flashing lights and microwave beeps in our vehicles. That's what customers demand.